But let's get into it. Let's start with the what's new. 5.2. Improved aesthetics and sharper images. Slightly improved coherence and text understanding. Increased diversity. And I imagine sometimes when you have to, hit that re-roll, they're saying that you may have to do this several times to get what you want. The stylize command has been fixed. Now, I had no idea it was broken, but they fixed it. The new high variation mode, turned on by default. I do like this one because there are times where when all of the images kind of look the same, you're not really sure. I like the idea of getting that variation, and they set this to default. Now, here's one that's interesting. New shortened command. I'm going to show you how this works, and we're going to take a look at it. But it lets you analyze the prompt to get suggestions on words. Essentially, you know how we have all of these long gargantuan prompts. What the new shorten command is going to do is going to analyze and tell you the weight of those words within that prompt and how you can shorten it to get just about the same thing. And we're going to test that feature out. Typically with Midjourney, what you get is what you get. And I would just take it over to Adobe, to Photoshop, to fill in the rest of it. But now they have this feature, but there's some quirks to it that it may not be exactly what you think it is, and we'll take a look at that. Okay, so let's get into this. These are the 4 images from it. So I did like this. I thought 5.1 did a very good job with this. I do like these images. I guess my preference is this one here. And 5.2, although I didn't do the aspect ratio, this, by looking at it, you can see what they mean by a sharper image. You can see the results is sharper. So the images are sharper when you look at the reflection. The detail in the reflection is really great. Just a really great image. I think I really like this one. I'm going to go with this one right here. So let's take the first one and let's upscale it. Now we have a variation, so we can do a subtle variation. We can do a strong variation. Let's go ahead and first do a strong variation and let's see what we get. We'll keep everything the same and just submit and see what happens. Okay, so from the strong variation, it flipped it. Looks like it flipped it here. Changed the angle. The sky kind of changed a little bit there. Different look and feel here, just angle. Although this one is almost close to the original, except for the background a little bit. And then this one is, this one I like the least. This is my least favorite here. This may be my favorite. Number 1. Here is the original. And here's the variations. And that was a very strong variation. Let's go with a subtle variation and see what happens. Okay, so here's our subtle variation. All right, let's go. Here's the original. Almost the same. And so one of the things that it did, it kept the car pretty much in the same location, and we have some subtle differences in the background. Okay, the sun is pretty much in the same spot. We got the same kind of haze in the background, the same clouds. The buildings are slightly different. We got a little more yellow here with the lights. Little differences here. So fairly subtle. So that's what the variation does. So I do like that part of it. Okay. Now let's look at the zoom feature. Okay, so here's the image. Let's do the zoom out 1.5. So this is the zoom out. Now this is, of all the features, this is one of my favorite features with this new update, because one of the things that we've had is If it's cropped too much, there was nothing we can do. And now it's almost like outpainting. So this is a great feature because you can see that zoom out filled in the background, kept everything the same, and it just expanded out. So that was 1.5. I want to see what we get with 2.5. Let's try that. So let's go back to the original. And I'm sticking with this one image just so we can have a baseline for our comparisons. Okay, so this was 2 times zoom out. This is starting to get a little weird because if you see this doesn't really work over here. That doesn't work. This works a little better, but you can see that we are starting to have some issues with filling this in. This one is okay. I like this one. This one seems to be good, but except the orientation of the car and from the landscape is a little off. And this one is just looks weird. It doesn't seem like this. From here we get this, but it tried to fill it in with something, but not all the way. All right. So of these, this is probably the best result. I think the 1.5 time zoom out did what's much better. So we got better results here. I think this was a better result. I think it was able to do this. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this prompt. I copied this prompt and I brought it over to Midjourney and it shortened it for me. So here was the shortening of the prompts, and you can see it crossed out a lot of words. So there's a lot of words that really kind of doesn't mean anything to Midjourney. And then, of course, then it gives me the shortened. And then if I select it, and what we can do here is come down to the bottom and say show detail. And when you show detail, then it goes into a real deep dive into the weight that Midjourney gave to each of the words. And you can see that a lot of words down here that just has 0. Okay. Now what's interesting, H.R. Geiger style is 1. So I'm almost wondering if you put the word style in, will that prompt Midjourney to weigh that more than anything else? So based on this, I ran the shortened prompt and I got this. Now I accidentally did the 2346. The original was 2336. So here is what I produced, and I really like this one. Versus the original. So here's the original. And here's the one I got. I'm a fan of this. This is pretty cool. But what I want to do is test that theory of saying that somehow the style matters. Let's do something here. Let's go shorten. And this is a prompt I used earlier, and we can see it took medium shot, still, Filmed by, so again, it looked at the name, style like The Great Gatsby. So it ignored Great Gatsby and did movie, but Harlem, Roaring Twenties, Detective, Langston Hughes interviews a woman. Okay, Fruit Stand. All right, so that's what it gave me. Let's take a look at the weight. Now, for some reason, Fruit Stand is weighted more than anything. But what I do kind of like about this Harlem Roaring Twenties Detective Woman interview, it did get the most important parts of it. So let's take a look and see what happens if I run this prompt. Okay, so I have to admit, I really like this. The only thing, let's look at the original. What did I get originally? So this is what it gave me. And this is more of what I was looking for. So this right here feels cartoonish to me. So I would go back in and I want to make a variation of this because it says medium shots, 2013 Harlem. It's missing the word. I think in this case, film still is important. Okay, so let's take a look here. Yeah. See, film still is important. So although this is the closest thing that I'm looking for, this one works. These two, that doesn't really work. But this first one over here, this works for what I was looking for. And this could work from what I'm looking for. All right. And although this is cool, not what I'm really looking for. Okay. Okay. So although it wanted to delete the film still, it looks like that was an important word that had to throw that back in just to get the look that I wanted. So that works. Overall, I really like how this works. I'm a fan of this. So overall, hope you guys just go out, experiment with it, and keep creating. And we will be back with a new video shortly. You guys keep creating, and thank you for watching, and we're out.